Welcome to today's webinar, an introduction to Analytics 2.0. Um, let's jump straight into the introduction so you know who your hosts today. So my name's Will, and together with my lovely colleague Leo, we'll be taking you through today's webinar or today's session. We're both customer success managers here at Personio and responsible for customers anywhere between 50 to 250 employees. And specifically, I'll be moderating today's session, which means I'll be taking you through the presentation, as well as hopping into the live demo account in a little bit of time, while my colleague Leo will be supporting behind the scenes, primarily with the chat, and he'll also jump into the Q&A section a little later on. Before we get started, we would also like to hear from you. I know you guys can't introduce yourselves, but maybe we can engage you in a different way. And we would like to find out how you're currently dealing with analytics, especially in regards to HR. So perhaps you can help us with a little poll, which Leo will share with you momentarily. We've prepared 3 questions for you. So we are curious to find out how often you use analytics in your decision making, maybe some of your biggest pain points or challenges you have when you deal with analytics on a day-to-day, as well as the metrics that are most important to you. So perhaps you can let us know where you're currently at in terms of analytics. And I see some of you already voting, so that's good to see. I'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to vote. And we'll share the results with you as well once we've closed out the poll, because I think it's quite interesting for you to see also where you stand, perhaps in context with the other participants today. So let's just give everyone a couple of minutes to fill it out. And we've got few of you already who filled it out, which is great. So thank you very much to everyone who has filled it out. I think it's approximately half of you. So perhaps a few more seconds. Maybe some of you who have just joined can also still fill out the poll. We're curious to find out what HR analytics looks like today in your organization. Some interesting results already. So perhaps a few more of you can fill it out and then we can share the results with you as well. Amazing. All right, I guess we can slowly end the poll here, and I'll just end that and share the results with you. So quite mixed results. You should be able to see them now. Yeah, the majority of you use it more than once a month, which is very good to hear that you use it quite frequently. Some of you even use it daily, so you guys are real super users, which is great to see. And some of you use it at least once, have used it at least once, which is also good. And one of you has also never used it. So that's very interesting to see. And I hope by the end of this webinar, we can inspire all of you to use it even more. And perhaps this webinar will do that. Moving on to the second question. So this is also really interesting for us to see what you guys are challenged with in your daily lives when working with HR data. And we see mixed results actually. So lots of you have indicated that it's the manual effort in generating reports, which is the biggest pain point. And yeah, I'm happy to show you in a bit how we can perhaps tackle that pain point for you with Personio today. Lots of you have also indicated that it's just gaining the right insights from the reports you generate, or that data is spread out across multiple data sources, multiple platforms, perhaps, which probably makes it difficult to generate those reports or actually gain those right insights you are looking for. So thank you very much. And then moving on to the last question, which HR metrics are the most important to you and your organization? And we also see that lots of you, I think, are quite aligned. It's primarily related to headcount. Turnover is obviously a very important metric. Diversity, some of you are also interested in, along with some other metrics. So we'll definitely touch base on some of those points we just saw in the poll today. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that in today's webinar. Um, so perfect. Let me move on with today's agenda then, just so you get an overview of how we're going to structure today's session. So we'll be giving you a brief introduction to Analytics 2.0, but we won't be spending much time there because we want to delve into the product itself. So we'll take a look at a demo account and delve into the new analytics within Personio, followed up by a Q&A session. So we'll also give you the opportunity to submit some of your questions and answer them live today. Before wrapping up today's sessions with some key takeaways as well. And as I mentioned, you'll have the opportunity to also ask lots of questions. So we encourage you to do so. If you'd like, you guys can pull out your mobile phones and just scan this QR code so you can submit your questions. But my lovely colleague Leo has also just shared the link in the chat for you. So if you're on your desktop, on your laptop, computer, you can also just visit Slido via the link in the chat. And it's quite a cool tool, which allows you not only to submit your questions, but also vote for or vote on other people's questions. So if you're really curious to find out what the answer is behind another participant's question, feel free to like those. And also it helps us avoiding or avoiding you to having to ask the same question 5 times. So it just keeps it more transparent for us. And yeah, so you can use this to just submit your questions throughout the entire presentation, and we'll get to those questions a little later on as well. Hopping straight into the next topic. So an introduction to Analytics 2.0. And here I'd just like to, basically reference what happened a couple of weeks ago. And I'm sure all of you have noticed, perhaps with some of the changes in your Personio accounts. But roughly 3 weeks ago, we introduced a new era of Personio. And with that, also just a continuous effort to constantly improve our product and evolve our platform to become the intelligent HR platform. And that involved lots of feedback we received from you and incorporating that in 3 key components of our platform. One being smart automations, the second being dynamic adaptability, and the third being proactive insights. And today's session will be talking all about that third pillar, so proactive insights. And just setting the scene, and we've just seen that recently in the poll as well, that and I'm sure you're aware when speaking to other people, we're aware of it when we speak to customers on a daily basis. HR and HR data is becoming more relevant every single day. So HR is often tasked to really take part in strategic decision making, and also provide strategic insights and numbers and facts when making critical decisions on an executive level or, for example, before launching impactful initiatives. And we've also seen that this comes with many challenges. So, for example, data is really spread out across multiple tools, multiple platforms, which makes it really difficult for you to gain actionable insights or actually create compelling reports and stories to really determine what decision to make. And this is something we want to tackle with the new Analytics 2.0. So what we've gone and done is really centralize all the data and all the important HR metrics within Personio in one centralized location in a new dashboard, to really ensure that all the important HR metrics which are relevant to you and your organization are available in one simple overview and really accessible. At the same time, we've also made it a lot easier to create reports. So especially what all of you mentioned early on, that it's very time consuming and it's a manual process. We made that process a lot easier. So now with the new Analytics 2.0, you have the ability to create very compelling reports with compelling visuals in a matter of minutes without needing to spend time on searching where that data may be or creating the report itself. And at the end of the day, we really want to enable you to make data-driven decisions, to create those compelling stories, to convince your leadership on perhaps some of the initiatives you want to launch and need to launch, and have the numbers to back it up as well. And that's basically the story behind Analytics 2.0. And we're looking forward to all of the progress we've made already. And I can assure you that going to continue to develop this to make it even easier for you. But let's jump in straight into the demo account, like I said, so that you can actually see what this looks like and what this means that I'm talking about. So I'll just briefly stop sharing my screen and head into the demo account. So there we go. Perfect. So you should all be able to see my screen. And basically, this is already the introduction to the new metrics dashboard. As you can see, when navigating on the left-hand side to the Analytics tab in your Personio accounts, you land straight on the metrics dashboard. So this metrics dashboard is a collection of all the most important HR metrics that are relevant to you and your organization. Yeah, just keep in mind for this demo that we're working with fictional data. So if some of the numbers aren't as coherent or don't add up, look different in your organization, this is a demo account and some of the numbers may not be as accurate. But I think this nonetheless provides a very decent overview of what it would look like in your own account. And as I just mentioned, we've got a collection of all the most important HR metrics here for you, categorized by some of the important topics you also indicated on your poll. So, for example, I think one of the highest rated metrics that is relevant to you was the headcount. And at the beginning here, you already have a very good overview of some of the HR headcount metrics within your organization. So these are pre-built reports you have within your Personio account you can use to get an overview within seconds if that's something you're interested in. So for example, we've got the headcount trend, we've got the headcount by departments, we've got the headcount by workplace, formerly known as offices, for those wondering. We've also got, for example, a headcount by status. And what's really cool is you can easily adjust these as well. So what you can see here is, for example, we have the headcount trend for approximately the last 6 months. But if I want to extend this overview for the last year, or for example, the previous 12 months, that's something I can easily go ahead and do without having to navigate into the actual report. So I can adjust this here. And I can also add a segment if I want to. So for example, I can make sure that I want to segment this, for example, by workplace, and I have the ability to add a filter. So here, for example, we can ensure that we're only incorporating employees that are internal employees. And so we've made it really easy and accessible for you to really tailor the metrics dashboard to the needs of you and your organization. Moving on, we've also got various different metrics or categories for you to easily find. And so something we have is, for example, demographics, where you have a clear overview of, for example, the gender distribution in your organization. We've also got metrics on, for example, the age distribution, which may be quite relevant. And again, here you have the ability to adjust each single report within the metrics dashboard to really suit the needs and the view that you would like for you and your organization. We've also got retention. So I think this was also something very interesting for you. Here we've got heaps of different metrics on the employee turnover rate, and we'll dig deeper into that in just a moment. We've also got metrics on, for example, time off and absences, and then finally also metrics on compensation. If I would further want to actually tailor some of these metrics and dashboards according to the needs of my organization, so to give you a practical example, I'm really interested in the different nationalities within my organization. So I head over to demographics and see it's not part of the current metrics dashboard. No worries, we've also got you covered because you can easily adjust that too. So you just head over onto edit, and once you do so, you land into basically the demographics category with all the different reports. When you navigate to the bottom here, you see that we have some pre-built reports created by Personio, and you have the ability to hide them, right? Or you have the ability, for example, to filter them if you'd like. You have the ability to add new ones. And if we move back up to the top, you have the ability to add it, you have the ability to move them around in case you would like to, for example, show one specific report at the very top instead of at the bottom. In this case, like I said, I'm really interested in the nationalities within my organization. So I just click on here and add a chart. What I can do is I can easily navigate to use a template. So I can select a template if I would like to, or I can create one from scratch. I create one from scratch in this case, just to demonstrate how that would look like. And what you see is that the first choice I have is to select what kind of chart I would like to use. So either you have a horizontal bar chart, a vertical bar chart, a line chart, a tree map, or a ring or donut. And in this case, I really think a tree map would probably be most appropriate. I then head over and select the data field I would like to select. I want to segment the headcount by nationalities, so I select headcount. It's the total sum. And then I navigate over to segment by and can select nationality here. And once I do that, I have a very nice overview of all the different nationalities within my organization. Again, I can go over to filters and really select some of the filters I would like. So again, I want to only have an overview of the internal employees within our organization. So I go ahead and select that filter. I'm happy with the new report. I add a title and click publish. And once that's published, it lands straight into the metrics dashboard, and I have it accessible right in my overview where I need it on a day-to-day basis. So that is really helpful as well. Perfect. We've also got various different reports and examples prepared for you. One other thing I would like to show you is, for example, yeah, for example, the termination reasons, or let's say retention metrics and dashboards, because that's also something which you are interested in. We see here that, for example, in the metrics dashboard, we've already got a lot of different reports where we can see different metrics on the employee turnover rate, and we can even segment and filter them. However, in this case, it's not enough. I really want to dig deeper into the numbers and really find out the reasons, for example, behind terminations, resignations, and so on. And what I can do is create a report to really understand those numbers. Again, similar option to the opportunity you had earlier when you're in the metrics dashboard. You can either select a blank report, or you can actually go into one of the pre-built templates we have here. So we have all the categories here, and you can scroll down to just to make that easier and select one of the templates we have prepared for you already. In this case, I would like to go into the terminations, so I want to understand or have a report on all the employees who are scheduled to leave within the company, and I select that template and I can create it. I then head over to filters because what I want to do is I want to make sure that the termination date is within a certain range, and I would like to take a look at all the terminations, for example, in the last year or so. And so I go on here, I select is on or after, and for example, I'll select the 1st of January 2024, and we should see a lot more data popping up. Perfect. So now I've selected my range. I can go back to the data to really organize that data in a more transparent view and more accurate view, which helps me make better decisions or gain more insights. So what I see is, for example, we've got a few columns here, but not the columns I need. I need the termination reasons, for example, or terminations types to better understand why people are leaving our company. So what I do here is I go on the columns, I add the columns I need. Again, I can search and just select them here and have those columns available. To really organize the data in a way I can digest it, I then can group them and select again the termination type and the termination reason. And we'll just give it a moment to load. And as we see here, we now have a really transparent overview of all the different yeah, people and employees who left the company within the last 1.5 years. And we've got them clustered by the termination type and the termination reasons. So, for example, what I can see here in this report is of all of those employees who handed in their resignation, four of them, so all four of them handed them in due to employee dissatisfaction. And so this is something really valuable to me. I can directly take this insight and further investigate this information by, for example, implementing this in the next performance growth cycle to really ensure that our employees are satisfied, or I can launch a new survey to really understand how the satisfaction is within the total organization, what some of the reasons may be behind the dissatisfaction, to really take action on some of these insights and hopefully prevent this turning into an issue later on where we see that, yeah, four employees have recently left the company because they're dissatisfied. So this is something super valuable you guys can use as well. I'll just click save here. And you'll see that this report is now saved and saved in your list of reports. Perfect. Heading over back to the metrics dashboard, we see that for example, we can further use this to really delve into some other relevant topics. So, for example, another use case we have is we want to find out, or as the HR department, we want to plan a summer party. That summer party should have been planned a couple of weeks ago, but I'm late and I really need to find out when the best date would be to really schedule a party. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to run a survey and ask our colleagues what the best time would be. What I can do is really just quickly navigate to the time off metrics dashboard and then look at, for example, the absence rate within the organization. I can select this year because we would like to find out what the absence rate within the organization is this year to really understand or gauge who would be available when within the organization. Obviously, this would only be people with planned leave because you cannot forecast how many people will leave on sick leave. Nonetheless, gives me a really great indicator of when the best time would be. So we see here, for example, that August would probably not be the best time to schedule our next summer party. Unfortunately, our budget within HR is limited and we have several offices around the world. So we can't really host one big party and invite everyone, for example, to Munich. Instead, we need to have local parties. So what I can do is I can go over here and segment this further and say I want to segment this by workplace to find out whether this pattern exists across all the workplaces or if this is only specific to one. And I can also add a filter to say we would, again, only like to invite our internal employees. So I create a filter, I select internal employees, and have a transparent overview as well once this loads. What we see here is, interestingly, that the absence rate in Madrid in September is also very high, higher compared to across the entire organization. So by digging deeper and segmenting these reports in the metrics dashboard, I just found out that September and August may not be the best months to plan the summer party. Instead, what I can do is plan the summer party for July to ensure that most people can actually join this party. So this just emphasizes the power of the metrics dashboard once again, and how easy and accessible the data is with lots of the pre-built reports we have in the metrics dashboard. Um, cool. Another report we have, or use case we've prepared for you, and that's something we also saw in the poll early on, is compensation. So obviously compensation is something lots of the executives would like feedback on and reporting on. And in this case, for example, we would like to find out whether there's a gender pay gap within our organization, specifically the HR department. So what we can do is we can go ahead and create a report. We can create one from scratch this time again, and just select a chart type or go to the filters. As I know, I only want to look at the HR department for now. I can select a department already. I can add a filter. I want to say we also only want internal employees involved in this report. I select that and I navigate back to data. I choose the line option and can select a time range. For me, the time range is fine. So for example, the previous 6 months is something I'm interested in. I then can select what I would like to look at. In this case, I would look at the salary. Importantly as well is I don't want the summarized by the total sum of salary, but instead the average. So I can go in here and select average, and then I can actually segment this by gender to see if there is a gap or not. So again, we've done this, and now we can see that, in fact, there is actually a gender pay gap between female and male colleagues in the HR department, at least in the 6 months. And with this insight, I can actually now determine whether I need to take action in the next performance growth cycle, for example, or the compensation cycle to close that gap or make any necessary adjustments, or investigate further why we perhaps have a difference between female and male colleagues. So this is also something quite useful, which many of our customers have asked whether that is possible, and it is. And yeah, you see how easily one can actually create this within the Personio reports. I'll close this without saving just because we're in a demo account for now, and just take another sip. Perfect. So, just a small disclaimer here as well. We're actually currently working on bringing more and more data within the Personio system to the new report builder. So at this time, not every single data point will be available in this report section or metric section, but we have you covered nonetheless. So I would just like to emphasize that you still have the ability to select the classical report builder in case any of the data points aren't reflected in the new report builder. I think some good examples are, for example, performance metrics, so reports on performance metrics within the performance and development tab, or other metrics such as overtime hours, where you report on the company's overtime hours as well. So you don't need to worry. And we've got good news because we are working on bringing everything to the new report builder in the next few weeks and months. Finally, I think we have one very anticipated question, which I would like to get to in advance as well, which is related to the access rights. And we've made it much easier to understand the access rights within the new reporting system. So what we've gone and done is really adjusted the access rights to each employee's access rights within Personio. And to provide you a more example of what that really means, I'll just navigate to one of our employees within Personio, and that is Theo Hoffman. And I'll log into his account. So now I'm logged into Theo's account, and I navigate to analytics, and you'll see lots of the numbers look different. The reason behind that is Theo is actually an HR manager for Dublin and only has the role and access rights for Dublin employees. Hence, within the new metrics tab, he only sees that data, which is really important to you to understand, and makes it a lot easier to really ensure that people without the necessary access rights don't gain access to sensitive reports or yeah, data within this report section as well. And we can also show you what that looks like in the settings later on in the Q&A section if you're interested. But it just goes to show you that we're making it more streamlined and aligned with the general settings within Personio as well. All right. So I think we've covered um, most of the things we wanted to show you in this demo as well. One thing I would also like to emphasize is that within the reports, let me log out because Theo doesn't have access to the reports. So in these legacy system reports, so for example, the time off balances, which I had created earlier on, we have the ability to share as well. So here, if you're asking about sharing options, we have the ability to share individually built reports as well. So you don't need to worry about that either. And finally, and I'll navigate to the metrics tab for that, you also have the opportunity to download all the reports in Excel, CSV, or PNG as PNG files, as well as view the underlying data if that's what you need as well. And I think with that, we've covered the major changes within the metrics dashboard and analytics dashboard. So what we'll do now is we'll slowly head over back to the presentation and jump into the Q&A section for any questions you may have. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second and hop back to the presentation. So you should be able to see my screen again, and we'll navigate right back to the live demo. Oh, sorry, the Q&A slide. And we'll just give everyone a few more minutes to scan the QR code and perhaps ask a few more questions, and then we'll get right into the Q&A section as well. So, Leo, perhaps you can jump in and tell me whether we have a few open questions or not.
Sure. Let's dive right in. So we do have a few questions. I think we can go one after the other. So the first question is, and I think you already answered it in the very beginning, but maybe you can just say once again, will there be a recording for this session?
Yes, so we will record the session. We'll also make sure that all of the answers to the questions you submitted in our Slido today will not go unanswered. So if we don't answer some of the questions live, we'll make sure we'll follow up in written form. And yes, you'll receive a recording, likely not straight after today's session, but in the next coming days as well.
Cool. Nice. So another question that we've gotten, and that's something you already mentioned and you showed for the individual reports, but maybe you can just quickly double down here once again. And that is within the new Personio experience, when someone creates a report with the new report builder, it currently cannot be shared with other people. Is this intended? Maybe you can also give us some insights there.
For sure. So currently that is intended, but with the intention to actually make that feature available to you in the next couple of weeks or months. So we're working on options to share reports in the new report builder, as well as deleting reports as well. So that's also a commonly asked question we receive, and that feature will be rolled out to you in the next weeks and months as well. So you can expect that feature shortly.
Cool. Another question that we've gotten is it says, I would like to support my management with an analytics dashboard that they can use. How does the building of that dashboard and sharing it with them works? Is this a question you want to take, Will? Or
Leo, go ahead if you have the answer.
Yeah, sure, of course. So something that can be said with the access rights is the access to the analysis tab itself. So also when it comes to creating metrics and eventually giving insights into them, this is something that your team with the given access rights for reports will have access to as well, so that your management can also look into the specific graphs that you're showing. And additionally, there, so they will only see what they should be seeing within the access rights. And that would also include that. So if you create additional dashboards, they would also pop up for the individual employees.
Perfect. Thanks, Leo.
Of course. Let me check for other questions that we've gotten. Okay, here's one. So can the legacy reports be converted to the new reporting system?
Leo, do you have the answer right now? I can also, would you like to take care of it?
If you want to, I can
Yeah, go ahead.
give my insights and then you can add anything to it. So
Perfect.
it is true. So we moved from the system reports to the new report builder, and there you find, as Will also showed us, a majority of different templates that you can use. So a lot of them are already covering the system reports. And when it comes to the individual reports, for now, they will remain in the system. But as Will also mentioned, we're working on improving our report builder to also implement more and more data, and that over time, the individual reports will also be migrated then to the new experience. Anything to add, Will?
No,
Does that work? Yeah,
perfect. Covered it all.
cool. Nice. Then let me check for another one. Okay, here was also one question. Um, that let me quickly check. Uh, sorry, I think I have to just sort it. Okay, there was one, and that was how can I remove the 0.00% growth in the top of the graph that we've shown with the compensation.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah, go
you,
ahead.
shall I go ahead?
You go ahead if you'd like to.
Yeah, sure. So the graph that we were looking at there is showing us the changes, and this 0.00% that just indicates that there has been no growth over the given time frame that Will chose in that specific graph. But let's also take that with us if this is something that we can also take off in a different way. But we'll double check that with the product team.
Exactly. So precisely, I'm not quite sure as of this moment whether you can delete that, for example, but if you had another report with growth, that wouldn't be the 0.00%, and we'll follow up on that, whether that's planned or not. Perfect. Thanks, Leo. All right. Do we have any more questions?
So we do have a few more, but I would say conscious of time, Will.
Perfect.
We can
All
continue.
right.
Yeah, and as Will also said, so all of them will be answered offline, and we'll forward all of the questions to you in addition to the recording.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Leo. Thanks for supporting. And we'll move on to the key takeaways of today's session as well. And before we jump into the key takeaways of what we learned today, we would also like to take away something from you, which is your feedback. We're continuously working on improving our webinar experience, just to ensure that experience is the best for you and you get the most out of these webinars. So we would really appreciate your feedback. It takes 2 minutes, and I think Leo will share the poll with you momentarily. And it would be great if you could just give us some feedback, and then we'll move straight on to the key takeaways of what we learned today. And thank you very much for taking the time already to fill it out. That really helps us. But ultimately, it will help you for the future webinars. Some of you already filled it out, which is great. Just give everyone another minute and then we can move on. We don't necessarily need to close the poll, so you can have time to fill it out as well. And again, a big thank you to everyone who's filling it out or has filled it out already. I would suggest a couple more seconds. We'll leave the poll open so some of you can continue answering those questions, but at the same time, I can move on to the key takeaways of today's session. Perfect. I'll head over to the key takeaways. No worries if you haven't filled it out. We'll leave it open as I just said. So moving on, let's see what we learned today. So, um, keeping in mind that we are continuously evolving our products and yeah, specifically the proactive insights pillar of the intelligent HR platform with Personio. With the recent launch a couple of weeks ago, we introduced a brand new system or metrics dashboard to really make your lives a lot easier. So what you have is a dashboard with all relevant HR metrics tailored to your needs and the needs of your organization in one transparent overview. We've made it much easier for you to create various reports with heaps of different templates we provided to you. So you really see also how valuable it is and yeah, how how easy and quick it can be to create reports because of the templates we provided to you. And I think that's also hopefully going to help you in terms of one of your biggest pain points with the manual process and time-consuming process to create reports. You'll be able to dig deeper into the numbers to really understand, for example, numbers on fluctuation, termination, um, and anything related to that to really gain actionable insights and ensure you are able to tell a compelling story to convince your leadership to take action. And finally, we've made the access rights a lot easier and more digestible and aligned with the general access rights and the roles within the Personio system, meaning you don't need to worry about who has access to sensitive data. That's sorted within the general settings for you. So those are the key takeaways of the new metrics dashboard, and we've got a few new functionalities coming out in the next weeks. For example, sharing and deleting reports, which we're definitely looking forward to sharing with you. Yeah, in the next months, and we're continuously looking forward to your feedback as well. So I hope we inspired you to try it out, to use the new metrics dashboard. And if you have any feedback, questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your account managers or provide feedback straight in your Personio account through the feedback button. It really helps us make the product better and hopefully more suitable to the needs of your organization. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for attending today. It was a pleasure hosting you. It was a pleasure introducing you to the new analytics dashboard. Yeah, I'll keep the session open just so that some of you can actually fill out the survey for us because your feedback really helps us. And at this point, thank you and have a great rest of your week.